Bienvenidos a la primera clase de este curso de inglés avanzado completamente gratis. I upload a new video every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe to my channel to receive notifications. And of course, you can join the Facebook group where you can download all of my resources, including the presentation for this class, for free. Today we begin the advanced level. And here are the topics that we're going to be studying. As you can see on the screen, the first thing that we're going to be studying today is the subjunctive in English. Then we're going to look at the future as seen from the past. Then we're going to look at different types of collocations. Then we're going to look at special uses of the past. Then we're going to do a class on debates, opinions, and agreement, disagreement. Then we're going to look at a class on discourse markers. Then we're going to do a class on paraphrasing and summarizing. And then finally, we're going to finish the course with two classes specifically about academic writing and literary writing. Let's begin. So as I said, today we're going to look at the subjunctive in English, which is kind of a weird one because most people think that it doesn't exist. What do I mean? So the subjunctive is very, very common in Spanish, and you can see here in these examples. In Spanish, you actually have a whole different verb conjugation specifically for the subjunctive. In Spanish, you don't say espero que te ha ido bien, you say espero que te haya ido bien, right? And here are some more examples. Espero que tengas tiempo, te lo digo para que sepas, ojalá sea guapa, no creo que sepa la respuesta. These are all examples of subjunctives. The subjunctive is a mood, not a tense. That's very important, okay? It's not like past or present or future. It's not a tense. It reflects the speaker's attitude, not the time, okay? That's why you can have subjunctive in different tenses, all right? So it's not a tense, it's a mood, okay? Un estado de ánimo, un ánimo, okay? So let's have a look at what I mean. What do I mean? The subjunctive is used in Spanish to talk about things that are subjective and or possible, but not certain, okay? This includes things like doubts, wishes, recommendations, unknowns, and opinions about the possibility of things happening, okay? For example, look at this first example. Espero que te haya ido bien. La verdad es que no sé si te fue bien o no. Estoy hablando de una posibilidad. Yo espero que te haya ido bien, okay? So that's like something which is unknown, okay? That's why it's a subjunctive. That's my attitude. Mi actitud hacia el hecho de que te haya ido bien o no es que no sé, okay? Por eso es un subjuntivo. That's why it's a subjunctive. The subjunctive is also provoked by certain phrases like para que y espero que, right? Para que sepas, espero que te haya ido bien, okay? So, espero que te haya ido bien is unknown, right? Espero que tengas tiempo. It's a possibility. I hope you have time. Te lo digo para que sepas is provoked by that para que. It's almost always in Spanish a subjunctive. Ojalá sea guapa. Again, it's something that I'm hoping. It's a wish. It's also something that I don't know. And no creo que sepa is a doubt, right? So these are all examples in Spanish of why you use a subjunctive. And I think it's really important to understand in Spanish before we try and look at the English, okay? So in English, you would say, I hope that went well for you. I hope you have time. I'm telling you so you know. I hope she's hot. And I don't think that's the answer. These are all the translations, direct translations of these verbs. So you can see in English, there is no special subjunctive conjugation, okay? Went is the past. And in this structure, it's still going to be went, okay? In English, the translation, you really don't have to worry about the subjunctive. It doesn't exist in these examples, okay? The subjunctive does not exist in English in these examples, but it does exist. So what is the subjunctive? Well, the subjunctive is the verbs behaving weirdly, right? In English, you will see some verbs behaving weirdly, and it's because of the subjunctive structure. It does exist in English, it's just not very common. That's why it's an advanced level, right? First of all, it's important to know that English does not have a distinct subjunctive verb form, okay? I told you this already. We don't have like special haya, sepas, fueras, tuvieras. We don't have special verb forms for the subjunctive, okay? You don't have to learn any new conjugations. We just use the base form of the verb, okay? Like the imperative, do, have, be, go, okay? It's important that you arrive on time. There you go. That's a subjunctive in English. It's important that we arrive on time. Still a subjunctive. Doesn't look weird though, right? It's important that they arrive on time. Doesn't look weird. It's a subjunctive. I, you, we, you, and they. With almost all verbs, the base form is the same as the present tense anyway, right? So, how would you know? If in English the translation of sabes y sepas es la misma palabra, no, ¿cómo vas a saber entonces cuándo es sepas y cuándo es sabes? Y la verdad te hace la vida más fácil, ¿no? Porque es el mismo verbo, se ve igual. It's important that you arrive on time. You arrive, I arrive, you arrive. That's the same conjugation as in the normal tense, right? The difference comes with he, she, and it. So, it's important that she arrive on time. It's important that he arrive on time. This is where you see it's a bit weird, okay? Because you're seeing, okay, but he and she, pero pues mis maestros siempre me decían he y she is con s o is o ies, no? She arrives, he arrives, okay. This is a subjunctive, which is why it still has this base form, right? It's base form. This structure es importante que en inglés sí te lleva un subjuntivo, que significa el verbo base, que para you, we, they, I, no notas la diferencia. You don't see the difference. But you do see a little difference with he, she, and it, because it's missing that S, right? It's important to say in reality, a lot of people will say she arrives or he arrives in this text. I mean, a lot of people will say it incorrectly in common use, okay? A lot of people will say it's important that she arrives on time. It's important that he arrives on time. A lot of people will say that, okay? And probably write it and probably won't have any issue at all. The verb be in imperative, of course, doesn't look like any of its conjugations. So, be here on time is an imperative, right? We saw this in basic level, imperative. Be here on time. I am, you are, he is on time. This is a normal indicative present tense, right? It's important that you be here on time is a subjunctive, okay? So remember, we still have this structure. It's important that you, and then the verb in the base form. Now, because be is a special verb, it's very, very different in its base form to in its indicative forms, right? With other verbs, it's exactly the same. Have or do or go, it's the same. I go, you go, we go. It's important that you go. Well, be is different, right? We have am, are, is, and we have be. So it's important that you be here on time is a subjunctive example. It's important that she be here on time. It's important that they be here on time. These are subjunctive examples, and we're using the base form of the verb. Looks a bit weird, right? This is maybe the most noticeable example of the subjunctive in English. It's really easy to see it because it's so different, right? Be is very different from you are, she is, they are. It's very different. You be, she be, they be, right? With most of the other verbs, it's very similar. The base form is pretty much the same as a standard conjugation. So to recap, the subjunctive mood does happen in English, but more often than not, you won't even notice it. Like you don't even see it, okay? Because it's so similar. You will notice it in third person when an S disappears, okay? So when it says, it's important that she have a bath, right? You will notice it when an S disappears. Or with be, which is a big difference, right? Between it's important that he be here on time and he is. They're very different. Again, it's important to say people don't always follow the rules. These are the rules, okay? But a lot of people don't follow them. A lot of people just say she is, he is. She has, he has. The subjunctive is used in Spanish to talk about all of these things, right? I already told you. Doubts, wishes, recommendations. So when do we use it in English? When is it used in English apart from it's important that? Okay? And it's important that you know this grammar because you are going to see it. Okay, so when are you going to see it? I'm using examples in third person with he and she and it because otherwise it's just going to look the same. Okay, so all of these examples are with third person, he, she, it. The mandative subjunctive. Okay, we're getting very technical now. We insist that he be fired now. Okay, insist, demand. It's preferable. Okay, these things are mandative. De mandar, como no, like telling somebody what to do. It could be very. It's very possible to see a subjunctive in English. I recommend as well. So verbs like we insist that, or I demand that, it's preferable that, I recommend that. It's very possible that if you're asking somebody to do something or telling somebody to do something, then the next word is going to be the person, he, she, and then the verb in subjunctive. Okay? We insist he be fired now. We insist he be fired now. I demand she leave us alone. It's preferable he go now rather than later. I recommend she say sorry soon. Again, a lot of people will use the S here, even though they shouldn't. A lot of people will do this incorrectly, but it happens. So when else are you going to hear it? You may also hear it with these expressions. These expressions are examples of the subjunctive. Whether you be friend or foe. Should he die tonight. Whoever he be, lest she forget. And some examples from Old English that survive today. For example, so be it. Que así sea, so be it. Come what may, venga lo que venga. So help me God, be that as it may. God forbid. These are all examples of the subjunctive. Their normal sentence would be like this, right? If you are a friend or a foe, if you are a friend or an enemy. Should he die tonight? If he dies tonight. Whoever he be, whoever he is, right? Lest she forget, unless she forgets. So be it, if that is how it has to be. Si así tiene que ser, if that's how it has to be. Come what may, whatever happens. So help me God, may God help me, or God helps me. Be that as it may, if that's the case. And God forbid, may God forbid this, or God forbids it. So these are just some common examples which you might hear, which you might use, okay, of expressions in English. And you might think, well, why is it so be it? So be it, que así sea. Why is it be, right? Hear that expression and you might think, why is it like that? Well, now you know. It's a subjunctive in English. It's a subjunctive. Okay, let's have a look at some exercises. Go to point number 1 in the description to open the activity. Okay, so this is the exercise page. If you scroll down, you can see an exercise here. Complete the sentences with the correct verb. Okay, this is a subjunctive. So, I've already told you the answer to this one. What may is going to be come. Come what may. If we cannot go on holiday this year, then so be it. Okay. So I want you to select the correct answer here. You might know them, you might not, but have a play with it. So you have to select the correct answer. This final activity here, type in the verbs here. This one actually is in different tenses, so you might want to come back to this after we've done the next part of the video. Okay? Finish the activity and I will see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. So as I said before, now we're going to look at the subjunctives in different tenses, okay? So, in the past tense, the subjunctive is only seen with be. And even then, it's pretty rare, okay? We've already seen the second conditional, if I were you, to express something that's not real. Remember that? Conditionals, we did this at the end of the intermediate level, I think. Class number 9, maybe? Again, a lot of people in speaking say if I was you, right? But if I were you is an example there. That weird were instead of was is present in other examples, but they are always unreal with if, okay? So it's pretty much always a second conditional. You talk to me as if I were your slave, como si fuera, right? Como si fuera tu esclavo. No lo soy, I'm not. It feels as if you were alive. Se siente como si estuviera vivo. He's not. if we look at our original example, it is important that he be there, and put it into past, it looks like this. It was important that he be there. Okay? So you can see that actually the subjunctive section, the be, isn't changing because that's not the most important verb of the sentence. Okay? The first verb is the important one. It was important that he be there. It was important that he was there is the indicative, right? So in this case, the subjunctive is redundant, basically, since both sentences have the same meaning. So it's an unnecessary complication, although it does sound cool. Okay, so you will see some people write, it was important, yes, it was important that he be there. Okay? That sounds very formal, it sounds very cool. Okay? It's also perfectly good to say, it was important that he was there. You don't need to complicate your life with the subjunctive, but you will see it. So it's important that you understand it. So in past tense, pretty much you don't see it. In future, there isn't one. There is no subjunctive in the future, except in the sense of sentences like, it's important that you be here tomorrow. Obviously, it's talking about the future, but there's no future verb subjunctive, if you see what I mean. In terms of going to and will, there is no such thing, for example, as it's important that Eric be going to do it. It's important that Eric do it tomorrow is fine, and it is a reference to the future, but we don't actually use a subjunctive in the future tense in that way, okay? Let's have a look at some exercises. Before you go to point number 2, remember that the end of the activity from point number 1 has some subjunctives in different tenses, so you might want to check that out. But now, go to point number 2 in the description to open the activity. Okay, so this is the activity page, but you have to scroll all the way down to the part where it says subjunctive exercises, okay? There's some more grammar explanation here, and then keep going down, 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 and eventually you get to this part which says subjunctive exercise 1, okay? All of the examples below require the subjunctive form. Choose the correct answer. What did your customer say about the quote? She requested, so this is going to be a mandative, right? She requested that I matched a competitor's price. She requested that I match. She requested me to match. I'm going to say that it's this second one, okay? The law is always changing, and it's extremely important that we are aware, okay? It's extremely important that we be aware. It's extremely important being aware. Again, I'm going to go for the second one. Let me check my answers. Okay, I got 2, which is great, because I only answered 2. Finish the activity, and I will see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. Okay, well now we're going to change a little bit in topics, and we're going to talk about dynamic and stative, probably for the last time in this English course, okay? Dynamic and stative review. I just wanted to do a little refresh with some of these verbs, and just to refresh the concept of dynamic and stative in your mind, but also remember that just because it's a dynamic verb, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be an ing, okay? I've included these 4 verbs because these 4 verbs can be stative or dynamic depending on the context. So for example, smell as a stative verb, we're talking about the smell of something, okay? So for example, the coffee smells great. You smell terrible. Something smells delicious, and those roses smell lovely. In all 4 examples here, smell is a stative verb. It's the state of the object that has an odor. As a dynamic verb, smell means you are smelling something, right? So she smells her roses every day, okay? She is smelling, right? I smell gas, okay? I am smelling gas. It might not necessarily always be an ing form because it might be present simple, like this example here. She smells her roses every day. But it is a dynamic verb because we're talking about the action to smell something, okay? Taste, very much the same. A stative verb, taste, you would say something like, that steak tasted delicious, or this wine tastes corked, which is when it tastes like the cork. It's the flavor, right? We're talking about the flavor. Or the dynamic, tasting, provar, tasting something. Tomorrow we are tasting cakes for the wedding. Taste this. Does it need more salt? Okay, so these are two examples of taste as a dynamic verb. And you can see here the imperative form of taste this. Taste this. That's a dynamic verb, but it's not in ing form because it's an imperative. Okay, so just because it's dynamic, it doesn't mean it's always going to be in ing form. Look as a stative verb. You looked fantastic. Mom looks angry. We're talking about physical appearance, right? And then look as a dynamic verb is actually buscando, viendo, looking for something, right? I'm looking for Benjamin. Where is he? We looked at the pictures in the gallery. Okay? Have as a stative verb, we're talking about possession. My family doesn't have a car. We had a dog called Toby. And then for dynamic, have, you could, for example, be having a party. We're having a lovely time. Okay? So, it's not always the ing that gives you the answer, right? It's not always going to be ing form if it's a dynamic verb. It can be dynamic, but just in a different tense. It could also be a state right now. Okay, so let's have a look at an activity for you. On my 5th birthday, I was really wanting, or I really wanted a bicycle. Okay, well the answer here would be, I really wanted. Want is normally a stative verb, okay? S for stative. So do the rest of them. I'm going to give you a few seconds to stop the video because I'm going to tell you the answers, all right? In 3, 2, 1. On my 7th birthday, we were having a great time, but the lights went out. We were having a great time, that's dynamic. When I was a kid, we were having or we had lots of animals at our house. We had, that's stative. Come here and tell me if this cake is tasting or tastes right to you. It's tastes and it's stative. Sabe bien, does it taste good? You were looking or you looked like your mother when you were a baby. You looked like, okay, because it's physical appearance, that's state. It is looking, it looks like it will rain. Actually, in this case, it could be both, all right? It's quite a common expression in English to say, it looks like rain, or it's looking like rain, okay? If you eat those beans, you will be smelling for days. You will smell for days, and it's stative, okay? And we're going to taste or be tasting the food first. We're going to taste or be tasting the food first. This is dynamic, okay? This is a dynamic to taste the food, but because it's going to taste, okay, or going to taste is future, going to be tasting is future continuous. Actually, they're both okay. Depends on what you want to say. Vamos a estar probando o vamos a probar. They're both good. Let's try some more exercises. Go to point number 3 in the description to open the activities. Okay, so this is the activity here. It says intermediate grammar exercise, stative versus non-stative. Scroll down and you will see here, is the verb in brackets at the end of each sentence stative or not? If the verb is stative, fill the gap with the verb in simple form. If it is non-stative, use the continuous form. Okay. We have known him for more than 10 years. Okay, so that's going to be present continuous. We have known, lo hemos conocido. Beatrice can't come to the door right now. She have a shower right now. Okay, so that's present continuous. She is having a shower. A bath in our flat, not a shower. That's present tense. We have a bath. David, 3 motorbikes and 2 cars. Own, poseer. Okay, that's present tense as well. Owns. Okay, so finish the rest of them and then check your answers. Finish the activity and I will see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to see today. No song today, but we are going to go straight to the idioms. So we have 3 idioms today. Barking up the wrong tree, cry over spilt milk, and hit the nail on the head. So, barking up the wrong tree, literally if you think about a dog who's looking at a cat in a tree and is barking, barking up at the cat, but the cat's not actually in that tree, the cat's in a different tree, so the dog is barking up the wrong tree. It means you're going after the wrong idea, okay? You're going after the wrong idea. To cry over spilt milk, it's actually very common to say there is no point, or no tiene caso, there's no point to cry over spilt milk. Okay? So basically, if your milk has fallen over, there's no point like wasting your time crying about it because it's happened. So you just have to get on with it. You have to react and you have to do something about it, right? So, lo hecho es hecho, hay que hacer algo más. O sea, no hay que estar llorando por lo que ya pasó, right? There's no point in just crying about something bad which has already happened. You have to move on and try and get over it and do something about it. And to hit the nail on the head, nail is clavo, and the head of the nail is the part which you have to hit. So if you hit something on the head, if you hit the nail on the head, then that means that you've made the exactly correct point, okay? So if I say, I think the reason that Manchester United do not win the Premier League is because the technical director is an idiot, then my friend can say, that's exactly right. You've hit the nail on the head, right? Lo atinaste, okay? You've hit the nail on the head. That's everything for today's class. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I upload new videos every Monday and Thursday. And of course, join the Facebook group so you can download the presentation for today's class and all of my other resources for free. Thanks for learning English with me, and I will see you next class.